Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining our online session of the book, The Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada. मम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकासस्वामिनामिने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वतदेवे भगवान् विचारणि विशेषशून्यवादे पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणि जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रवृत्त्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्त हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे गम करते वाचलम गायत्री क्रमित्र पादम देशी परमाणु गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण भक्ताय लक्ष्मी जैसे सबक्षर शास्त्री हृदय नरसिंह चेत जयंत प्रविष्ण मां प्रसुताम संजीवी यत्य किल शक्ति धर सुदाम रामचंद्र चरण श्रीमद प्रभागे आनंद मोदपति शायद परितवित्र गया दंड संसार को पाप हो जाए विकास. So, Hare Krishna, we are reading from the book, The Modern Mission of Srila Prabhupada. We are reading the volume 3. We are continuing to read from volume 3 of the book. We are in part 17, Organization and Management. We are under the chapter 3, Qualifications and Duties of the Leaders. And in that, we are in Removal and Rectification section. We have to read from there. Removal and rectification. Leaders should be patient in training others and not prematurely reject anyone who has come to serve Krishna. Mm. Everyone is under the clutches of Maya. If you follow the relative principles, we can get out and come to spontaneous love. A diseased man is always under the clutches of disease. But if he follows the prescribed orders given by the physician, he can be cured. Now, how to reform? If we ask him to go away, the whole society will be finished. In the hospital, many patients are there, and the attempt is made to cure them, not to tell them to go away or to kill them. Then try their best to cure them. If they tell them to get out of the hospital or if they kill them, that is easy. When discussing the reasoning behind this policy, Srila Prabhupada gave insights into the nature of devotional service as opposed to paid work and the required difference in managing devotees. It is Krishna's service. Everyone is offering voluntary service. So, not that anyone is paid and if he cannot dismiss. This bureaucracy is not train him. If he does not know, train him. Although the emphasis he should be on rectification, not rejection. Sometimes removal becomes necessary. You should rectify but not reject. Members are coming to join us to be rectified, not to be rejected. So try to rectify the incorrigible improved reformed. And if not possible, then change. What can we do? Managers especially should preferably be rectified rather than removed. Okay. Any discrepancy can be corrected. A change of management is not good. All faults should be corrected. In one case, a temple president has been removed for reportedly not chanting daily 16 rounds. But Srila Prabhupada said if he should be rectified and reinstated as president, citing that he has given very tangible service for the benefit of the society, you should recognize his service. That you cannot neglect. The general rule, however, is that managers should not be in a post if spiritually unfit. One who does not chant properly or follow the principles should neither accept the post nor remain in the post. He should resign. For the basic qualification, is not material, but spiritual. The, that the GBC member must be spiritually qualified and strong. Although in general there is no question of changing GBC, GBC men are meant to be of the highest standard and should be replaced in the case of fall down or other serious deviation. They must all ideal, acharya like. In the beginning, we have done for working. Now we should be very cautious. Anyone who is deviating, he can be replaced. In 1976, devotees in Germany were so disillusioned with their former GBC that they unanimously petitioned Srila Prabhupada that he not return. And Srila Prabhupada acquiesced, and accept something reluctantly but without protest. Okay. Finance and accounts. Every living, even when living alone with meager income, Srila Prabhupada kept meticulous accounts of his petty expenses. Having founded a worldwide organization, he was concerned that it maintain accurate accounting and avoid misspending and debts. Yes, the accounts must be kept very clearly. Then everyone will be pleased with us. Not a single farthing will be wasted. That will be our credit. The fact is that how it should be realized, but some plan how this extravagancy may be stopped. That is the real program. Henceforward, all expenditure proper debit voucher must be maintained. So far, you are concerned, being the zonal secretary of that quarter of the world, your duty is to see that all our different centers within your jurisdiction must be going very accurately. The accounts are not being kept very scientifically, and if there is extravagant spending, that should be changed. We should simply accept the bare necessities of life. The balance money and energy should be employed for pushing forward Krishna's mission. That is very good that Seattle does not have any debts. This is proper management. This is very much wanted. Another important reason for attention to accounting. Please keep the accounts very correctly so that we may remain always above suspicion. Similarly, we must admit our audited accounts and that will convince the public of our stability. We must submit our audited accounts and that will convince the public of our stability, insisting that strict accounts must be kept. Srila Prabhupada was also concerned that overspending and misspending be checked. Those who are responsible should be very frugal to see that what is on the frugal. Simple plain. Okay. Those who are responsible should be very frugal to see that not one penny is unnecessarily spent. The president should be restricted that you cannot spend more than this amount without sanction of GBC. It is not good that all the temples are spending more than they are receiving. They should rather save more and not exceed on the expenditures. Multiple instructions of Srila Prabhupada show that he required GBC members to be attentive to finances and accounts. I want that all centers follow the following procedure for handling the money. Whatever income is there, every cent must be given to the treasurer. Immediately he records it in the book. Then daily he deposits everything in the bank. For the expenditures, he withdraws from the bank the petty cash by check signed by himself and the president. Then the expenditures are checked by the president to see how the money is being spent. The important thing is that all monies must be given to treasurer and he records it and every day deposits everything in the bank. And whatever is spent and that also is withdrawn from the bank. That will stop the embezzling that is going on. Please arrange for this and inform me. Another warning about why leaders must keep abreast of financial matters. If we do not take time to understand how the financial matters are going on, that at any moment we may experience some calamity due to our inattention to these matters. Mm. Therefore, you should always try to keep yourself informed how the financial matters are improving. A particularly strong warning sent on behalf of Srila Prabhupada to all GBCs. Srila Prabhupada is concerned that so many temples have got big debts to the BBT, and he wants that GBC take a very active interest in seeing that these debts are paid as soon as possible. He was very strong on this point and went so far as to say that temple presidents who do not keep up with their BBT payments must be replaced. You see. Okay, learning management techniques and directives. Okay, Paramatmananda Prabhu, are you there?
Hare Krishna, Pranam Bhaji.
Ah, Pranam, you can start, continue to read.
Yes. Learning management techniques and directives. ISKCON leaders can learn by studying the management systems and methods of various well structured religious and secular organizations. Specifically, Srila Prabhupada told us to take note of the management techniques of the Ramakrishna Mission, Tirupati Devasthanam, and the Catholic Church.
The Ramakrishna Mission is in Kolkata. They have many temples all over the world in one sense. And Tirupati Devasthanam, it's in Tirupati. It's called as Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam, TTD. It's a big body having billions, zillions or trillions. Actually, they are having, you know, it's a world's richest body. It's the world's richest. Actually, you can't imagine how much is there with them. Even they don't know how much is there. That much is even Rockefeller, even Rothschild, they don't have so much. The Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam is having so much. They're having in billions and millions of dollars. They're having investments. They have lands. They have gold. They have gold more than what I can say. Billions of dollars of gold. Just gold is there with them. Catholic Church in Vatican. They are also having so much. So they are managing so many temples all over the world. Tirupati Tirupati Devasthanam. They are also having so many temples affiliated under them, and they're doing it very. They're doing since many years. Yes, continue.
Although highly critical of the teachings and practices of the Ramakrishna Mission, Srila Prabhupada acknowledged that it was well structured and advised his disciples to to emulate their organizational principle. Shortly after visiting Tirupati, Srila Prabhupada wrote to the management there, "We all left Tirupati feeling very much inspired by the darshana and by your excellent management. ISKCON ISKCON managers should aim to invoke such feelings in all who visit the temples in their jurisdiction." To a temple president, Srila Prabhupada wrote, "You should manage the whole thing very nicely. Just like in Tirupati, they are managing so many buildings very carefully." And he told Tejas Das to learn how to manage from the Dalmias, Birlas, and Modis, famous industrialist families of India. Who shall manage? Initially, Srila Prabhupada's plan was to sannyasis would travel and preach or lead communities by giving spiritual guidance, leaving the management of centers to grihasthas. All classes of devotees were expected to work cooperatively. Now we want very many swamis to take up this job, traveling and preaching. The grihasthas are to take care of the temples as well as the general management. Take it now with great responsibility, and every one of you may serve jointly for Krishna's satisfaction. The sannyasis are now devoted fully to traveling and preaching work. Management is left to the local temple presidents and the members of the governing body commission. Referring to Kirtanananda Swami's role at the new Vrindavan farm, Srila Prabhupada directed. He may be the supreme authority for the center, but the management should be entrusted to the brahmacharis and next the grihasthas. He should not directly interfere with the management. He can simply give direction and the brahmacharis and grihasthas can carry out the management. In the early 1970s, Srila Prabhupada mostly favored having householder couples as temple managers. I am proposing that our temples now be managed by the householder couples. I want that such Grihastha couples should manage things as they have a tendency to organize and manage. Most of my best managers are Grihasthas because they have a natural propensity to manage. I want that householders shall manage in the temples because they have got a propensity to manage things and they want to take responsibility and they will not go away. Brahmachari householder, it does not matter, but householders are doing nicely all over the world. However, Srila Prabhupada later changed his opinion. It is best if the temple presidents are either sannyasis or brahmacharis. Originally in 1970, Srila Prabhupada appointed 12 men as GBCs, even 11 Grihasthas and 1 Brahmachari. By the time Srila Prabhupada departed in 1977, the GBC body had expanded to 24 men, 14 sannyasis, 7 Grihasthas, 1 Brahmachari, and 1 Banaprastha. Good management. Naturally, some leaders were more competent than others, and some centers were managed better than others. Naturally, also Srila Prabhupada was pleased by good management. I can understand that you are managing a very nice temple there. By managing the temple as a president, you are doing a very great service to humanity. To a temple leader, Srila Prabhupada wrote, try to develop Boston Temple to be the first class temple in your country. Why your country? In the world. Essentially, good management means you must learn how to lead people. Good management can be judged by good results. One test of how well you are managing things is that if all the devotees are satisfied, then you are conducting things nicely. If you are if you are if more devotees come to live with us, that is also a good sign.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Suji.
Hare Krishna. Read once again. And
Yes,
is more devotees?
and if more devotees come to live, sorry. If
You're
more
reading
devotees
live.
come to live with us, that is
No,
also a
it is
good
not.
sign.
That is not some cricket match going on some live.
Yes.
Live.
Sorry.
No, I think you are seeing some matches or something. That's why you became live. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Continue. Live. I was surprised when nobody's come to live with us. How can you say like that? Okay. Hare Krishna. Continue.
People will be receptive everywhere if we manage nicely. Cool headedness was a quality that Srila Prabhupada often stressed as being desirable for devotees, including in management. Do everything cool headedly, very soberly. Leaders must be always cool headed and utilize every moment in the best manner possible. The leader of the temple must try always to be sober and tolerant and at the same time manage everything nicely. When a temple president asked Srila Prabhupada, how do I manage my temple? He replied, You must be very strict. You must be very liberal. A leader's
Both,
duty.
both he has to do. When a temple president asks how to manage, you have to be strict, you have to be liberal. How what? Okay.
A leader's duty in a nutshell. Good management means whatever needs doing, you do it, that's all. Simply, we have to organize things nicely and manage carefully. Mismanagement. Mismanagement deeply troubled Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes this mismanagement gives me too much anxiety. I do not wish to see that somehow or other we have built up a nice institution and on account of lack of management it may be hampered. That is my only anxiety. I cannot close my eyes when there are big management difficulties. So when I see things going wrong, money misspent, things not used properly, then I have to take part. Mismanagement in Krishna consciousness is a direct reflection of the poor level of Krishna consciousness of those responsible for management. If there is some discrepancy anywhere, some non-cooperation, fighting, or if the work is slow or not to the standard, it is to be supposed that the person or person in charge are not very much attached to Krishna. Being concerned that by even a little mismanagement there may be so many difficulties. Srila Prabhupada tirelessly attempted to rectify and train his often incompetent disciples. He warned, if our temples cannot even be maintained, then it is a great defect in our management of the society. At one point, he even ordered to not open any more centers unless we have got very many qualified men to take care of them. One sign of poor management. If devotees do not stay in the center, that means your preaching is not very strong. An example of one particularly untoward scenario, the Miami situation is a great discredit for us because we have made such a bad impression on the neighbors that they have had us kicked out. This is because of nasty management. If the management continues to be so nasty, then that place will also be ruined. Concluding these observations, Srila Prabhupada stated, management must be done very nicely, otherwise it is useless. Avoiding internal politics. Although for the sake of preaching, Srila Prabhupada cautiously encouraged mature devotees to involve in secular politics, he did not want that politics enter ISKCON, stating that the Vaishnava will have no politics. Srila Prabhupada proffered stern advice: politics, diplomacy, fraud, cheating. If these things come within our movement, then it will not be successful. Defining and decrying politics. Politics means planning for one's own happiness. In our society, there should be no diplomacy, no politics. Everyone should be eager how to do good to others. That is Vaishnava. If he is planning something that I shall be leader, I shall be doing something that is not Vaishnavism. That politics is not good.
Prabhu,
Thus,
yeah,
politics.
Hare Krishna, there is so much of
Yes,
noise from the back. You have to go to a place where it is a little bit noise is less or there is.
okay.
Um,
Thus, politics Thus, politics can be understood to mean man- maneuvering in order to gain power or advantage, acting deceptively for self interest, not caring for others. and unconscionably being ready to cause harm to others to further one's own goals. Internal politics and fighting between his disciples caused Srila Prabhupada great concern. He said that there should be no politics in our society because a Vaishnava means one who wants to help others become happy. However, he he ruefully noted that now politics is coming in. He detected the cause. As soon as we are getting money, the politics coming.
Politics.
Another Another potential cause of internal politics. Democracy in spiritual affairs is not at all good but breeds power politics. We should be careful about power politics. Speaking to GBC members, Srila Prabhupada warned, don't bring politics, then it will be ruined. Why is there this politics? This is not good. If politics if politics if politics come, then the preaching will be stopped. That is the difficulty. As soon as politics come, everything is spoiled. In the Gauriya Math, the politics is still going on. My Guru Maharaj left in 1936 and now it is 1976. So after 40 years, the litigation is still going on. Do not come to this. We are Vaishnava devotees, not politicians, Srila Prabhupada declared, expressing his strident disapproval of the attempt by some members of a temple to remove their president.
I think it is strident. It's not strident. It is strident.
Loud and harsh.
It's called loud and harsh. Strident. Okay.
Why should you be whimsically discharged? Only the GBC man shall be able to make these changes, not any so-called secret meeting of devotees. Why have they misunderstood these things? If they have objection, they must lodge it with their GBC, and differences must be discussed openly among ourselves, not secret meetings. We are Vaishnava devotees, not politicians. These things must be stopped. Plotting. Your merit stands far above theirs. You have done some tangible work to please me by spreading this Krishna consciousness message in New Orleans. That is the test. Let them do something first. Then we shall see what is their criticism. Simply criticizing and no work, that is the business of inferior men. So do not be disturbed by them. Go on with your work, increasing more and more. Never mind the jackal's howl. Never mind the jackal's howl. Frankly addressing the scourge of politics within ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada wrote, I want all of you to work cooperatively and very frankly. That is our process, not that we shall always plot and scheme and write letters. But seeing some measures of politics as practically unavoidable, Srila Prabhupada encouraged continues to devotees to continue his mission. Nevertheless, as soon as there are a number of men dealing, there are politics, but we still have to execute our duty. This is the American and European habit of diplomacy. Unless there is spiritual advancement by their nature, they will do like this. The whole thing should be corrected by diverting their attention to chanting and the regulative principles. The natural tendency is that as soon as one gets power, he will naturally try to utilize it. This psychology you cannot stop in the material world. That is not possible. But by that sacrificing spirit that my life is dedicated to Krishna, then it is possible. Otherwise, as soon as one will get some position and power, he will try to utilize it for his personal benefit. How can you stop it? It is like if you try to make the lion non-violent.
But non-violent. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Purishit Prabhu, you can continue.
Probably can any other person read Prabhu? Maybe a little noise is there.
Hmm. Okay. Should only read. Okay. Chapter 4, the Governing Body Commission. ISKCON is though rough and tumble. ISKCON in those rough and tumble early days was more like a family than an international institution. Everybody knew everybody. There was only a handful of centers and maybe 200 initiated devotees in the entire movement. Things got more complicated over the next few years with the establishment of hundreds of centers worldwide. As Srila Prabhupada accepted more disciples, they were turning to him for everything: medical advice, marriage counseling, financial assistance, as well as transcendental knowledge. But how could he personally minister to those all the numbers were so quickly increasing? Okay, but how could he personally minister to them all when the numbers were so quickly increasing? Shortly after the San Francisco Center opened, the movement really began to explode. People were chanting the mantra at all sorts of gatherings, sit ins, demonstrations, beans. Prabhupada was whizzing via jet from the West Coast to the New York Center. Then some of his disciples began opening centers in other areas: Montreal, Boston, Santa Fe, Los Angeles, Buffalo, Seattle, Columbus, Vancouver, Hawaii, and in Europe, London and Hamburg. In December 1967, ISKCON consisted of only three temples: New York City, San Francisco, and Montreal. 2.5 years later, in July 1970, ISKCON had expanded more than tenfold, consisting of 25 temples, 28 in US and Canada, and 7 overseas. This rapid expansion resulted in considerable difficulty for Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, as he could no longer personally minister to his hundreds and soon thousands of disciples. ISKCON grew so rapidly in North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada could not maintain intimate relationships with all of his disciples. He had to delegate responsibilities to his senior disciples in order to keep his growing mission functioning and expanding. As early as 1968, Srila Prabhupada broached the idea of central directing body. In my idea, there should be one central body of trustees for directing all the different temples. He implemented this in 1970 by creating the Governing Body Commission to help manage and protect his rapidly expanding worldwide organization. He wanted the GBC to cooperatively supervise ISKCON and uphold its standards and thus relieve him from the encumbrance of directing the affairs of rapidly burgeoning. What is it? Burgeoning, burgeon, begin to grow and increasingly rapidly. Okay. Moment, specifically to free him from writing books. Now it is my desire that I completely devote my time in the matter of writing and translating books, and arrangements should now be done that our society be managed automatically. I think we should have a central governing body for dealing with important matters. Oh, okay, just a second. Um, just give me a second. Okay, I will not. Now it is my desire that I completely devote my time in the matter of writing and translating books, and arrangement should now be done that our society be managed automatically. I think we should have a central governing body for dealing with important matters. I am very hopeful for this GBC that you will work in such a way that I may be completely relieved from all management of this society. It will be very nice if you GBC men can relieve me from the It will be very nice if you GBC men can relieve me from heavy burden of management. When a group of devotees who are having issues with their local ISKCON temple came to meet Srila Prabhupada, he replied, the GBC may see and do the needful. In all affairs, how can I see everyone? Everyone wants, but how can I see everyone? Wanting that they can exactly work like me, Srila Prabhupada desired the GBC to relieve him by managing the way he managed. I want that the GBC relieve me of all management, which means they have to manage the way I manage. I do not want to see things deteriorate by, the, by their management. Unfortunately, this did not always happen. I set up the GBC with the hope that I shall get relief from administration of the mission, but on the contrary, I have become the center for receiving so many complaints. At the time of forming the GBC, Srila Prabhupada made it clear that its members were to spearhead the preaching mission for which he had founded ISKCON. I'm especially appealing to the GBC men to take this mission of the Krishna consciousness movement very, very soberly and without any inabilities for advancing the knowledge of how to inject Krishna consciousness into the dead body of material nature. This is what the importance that Srila Prabhupada ascribed to the GBC is clear from this statement. The institution depends on the GBC. The training he imparted to the GBC men was meant for the present, but with an eye to the future also. I wish all the existing GBC may be trained so perfectly that in the future, in my absence, they can manage the whole society very nicely and strongly. He planned for the GBC to continue to oversee and manage all the affairs of the society after his departure, stating that I have chosen my best men to be GBC. Srila Prabhupada referred to them as my chosen right hand men. He wanted that the GBC should all be the instructor gurus, explaining, I am the initiating guru and you should be the instructor gurus by teaching what I am teaching and doing what I am doing. That is not a title, but you must actually come to this platform. He thus deputed them to answer philosophical queries. If ever you have questions or serious doubts about philosophy, you may ask the GBC or myself. And he envisaged that gradually the GBC members would be initiators, at least first initiator. However, being a GBC is not necessarily more important than being a temple president. Srila Prabhupada once told Giriraj Das, I was thinking of making you the GBC for India, but then I considered that your service as temple president in Bombay was more important. And once he suggested, it is good if presidents in GBC switch around sometimes. Okay, Saurabh, can you please continue to read?
Hare Krishna. GBC scope and authority. The GBC itself outlined its scope and authority in the first resolution that it passed in its annual meeting in 1975, a resolution that was duly approved by Srila Prabhupada, the GBC governing body commission has been established by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to represent represent him in carrying out the responsibility of managing the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, of which he is the founder, Acharya, and supreme authority. The GBC accepts as its life and soul his divine instruction and recognizes that it is completely dependent on his mercy in all respects. The GBC has no other function or purpose other than to execute the instruction so kindly given by His divine grace and preserve and, and spread His teachings to the world in their pure form. It is understood that the GBC, as a collective body of 14 members, has been authorized by His divine grace to make necessary arrangements for carrying out these responsibilities of management. These arrangements may include delegating authority, managing resources, setting objectives, making plans, calling for reports, evaluating results, training others, maintaining spiritual standards, and defining sphere of influence of the various GBC members as well as other devotees. The members of the GBC do not have any inherent authority but rather derive their authority from the governing body commission itself and ultimately from His divine grace. Their authority may be over a particular geographic area or over a particular function. Whichever area of responsibility be given to the various members, their primary responsibility is to the society as a whole. In the direction of management, the first official document regarding ISKCON's overall management in 1970, and again in his final bill, Srila Prabhupada stated that the purpose of the GBC is to act as the instrument for the execution of the will of the founder Acharya himself. Also, that the GBC was to oversee all operations and management of ISKCON as it receives direction from Srila Prabhupada and that he maintained the final approval in all matters. And also, in his final will, Srila Prabhupada enjoined the governing body commission will be the ultimate managing authority of the entire International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada expected the subordinate devotees to obey their local GBC, whom he considered as his official representative and the supreme authority for their respective zone. Madhud Viswa is the GBC man for South Pacific Zone, so his direction must be followed by everyone, and all the devotees there should address their problems to him for his consideration. ISKCON projects cannot be totally independent, they require GBC sanction. To start the proposed project in your letter, you must have full sanction of the GBC. Then I will approve of it if they approve it. Do not try to start any project independent of the GBC. I want that everyone will cooperate nicely with GBC. If you want to consider this project as an ISKCON project, then you must by abide by the order and direction of the GBC. Qualifications and duties of GBC members. Stating that following the rules and regulation is the real qualification of GBC. Srila Prabhupada wanted them to lead by themselves, being exemplary. By this, everything will be alright. GBC means that one must be an ideal Vaishnava. That means there must be strict observance in following all the regular rules and regulations. This is your main responsibility, and then to see that all others are following strictly. Then everything will be all right. If our GBC members remain strong, strictly following the regulative principles, everything will be all right. I have selected 12 GBC heads all over the world. I am instructing them. So by Krishna's grace, if they remain strictly to the spiritual principles, they will get strength. Drawing on Srila Prabhupada's instruction regarding standard expected of a GBC member, the following summary was compiled by a 50-member committee in Mayapur in 1987. He must demonstrate exemplary personal sadhana by verifiably chanting 16 rounds per day, following four regulative principles.
Very verifiably. It's called as
Verifi-
verifiably.
Verifiably following four regulative principles. C. Strictly following temple program, starting with the Mangal Aarti. D. Then regularly reading Srila Prabhupada's books. This second point, he must train all the devotees in his zone the to maintain the same above sadhana standard. Third, he must possess an ideal character by dealing in a straightforward way, free from duplicity, being able to give and accept sadhu sangha, avoiding any Vaishnava aparadh. Fourth, he must be able to train and inspire others to preach and distribute books by his instructions and personal example. He must ensure that the temple and deity standards are maintained. Sixth point, he must ensure that the policies and regulations of the GBC body are correctly upheld in his job. Seven, he must manage so as not to kill the spirit of enthusiastic service, spontaneous and voluntary. Eight, he must demonstrate world vision first and zonal vision second. Nine, he must establish self-sufficient farm communities based on Varnashram principles. Dynamism and boldness were qualities that Srila Prabhupada appreciated in GBC members. It is for your daring and active nature that I have chosen you to represent me as a GBC man. As one disciple noted, GBC men were appointed on account of their merit, preaching spirit, preaching dedication, to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. They should always consider how to improve the society. I have issued a letter to all the GBC members only for this purpose, that each one of you should always think how to improve the cause and advance our society. And as soon as there is some good point, you can communicate with your colleagues and give some decision and put it before me so that I can give my final approval. So you should not remain for a moment without thought of improving cons activity. When first setting up the GBC, Srila Prabhupada stipulated the primary objective of the GBC is to organize the opening of new temples and to maintain the established temples. Shortly thereafter, Srila Prabhupada iterated this and elaborated on further duties. I have set up the GBC to handle management, questions of philosophy, the personal problems. I have found this GBC for that purpose, to keep the devotional standards at the highest level and at the same time to manage a worldwide organization. That is what I wish to see from the GBC members, that they work combinedly to open as many centers as possible or over the world. Another important duty of GBCs. All GBC members must see that in every temple everyone is engaged. That is the meaning of leadership. GBC means to engage everyone and then there will be no sleeping. It is the duty of GBC members to correct slackness in local management. In response to the news of misspending by a leader, Srila Prabhupada stated, indirectly, we are responsible because we could not control him. Slack management. Arrange things so that in the future these things may not occur. One more duty. Each GBC man is responsible to try to recover blooped devotees in his zone. A summation of the GBC's responsibilities to improve the standard of temple management and financial and legal accountability, to safeguard the existing temple properties, supervise the promotion of Krishna consciousness, particularly through the publishing and distribution of books and the opening of new centers and education of the devotees alongside and complementary to management considerations. Srila Prabhupada indicated the ultimate duty of GPC members. That is our real concern, the spiritual progress of life. That is the duty of the GPC. Maintaining standards and nourishing devotion. The first responsibility of GBC members is to keep everything in order by themselves, setting a practical example. GBC means to be a practical example to all residents of temples and devotees. If all of us follow this principle of purity, our spiritual position will remain sound and Maya will not touch us. The GBC should personally, strictly observe all the rules and regulation and become the practical examples to others. Then everything will be all right. Then there will be no fear of being victimized by Maya. As GBC, your first responsibility is to keep yourself spiritually fit and see that all the devotees in your zone of management are chanting 16 rounds, rising early and strictly avoiding the sinful activities. If they are doing this, then management will be at your fingers' end. Of course, I am encouraged to hear that in each center you have stressed the distribution of my boss and you are seeing that devotees daily go out for Sankirtan as a primary devotional item. The GBCs should teach and guide others by being impressive, not repressive. Please institute these most important points of attending Mangal Aarti and chanting 16 rounds. These are the most important points of the Krishna consciousness process, but make it so that people may not think it too repressive, so they will not go away. Impressive, not repressive. That is the system. These regulative principles are our life. If they are not respected, then we fall down from the standard and the whole thing is finished. As the GBC, you should see the standard is perfectly maintained and that deity worship is perfectly done. Then Krishna will give us all protection. Neglecting the principles means neglecting Krishna's order. So you are one of the chief men. So you are one of the chief men of this institution. Kindly maintain your behavior to the standard so that others will follow and the whole thing may go on nicely. It was said about Lord Chaitanya. Apani Achari Prabhu Jiver Sikhai. That is, he personally used to practice the injunctions himself and then he used to teach others. That is our principle. Unless one is a perfectly behaved person, he cannot teach others. Srila Prabhupada concluded these instructions with what amounts to a management sutra for the GBCs. My only request is that all the GBC members should be strictly to the standard of life and see that others are also following them. Then our centers will be well managed. Kindly do that and advise your co-workers to do that. To effect all this, GBC men must read Srila Prabhupada's books. As a sannyasi and GBC, your first duty is to read my books. Otherwise, how will you preach? In order to remain steadily fixed in Krishna consciousness, there must be a sound philosophical understanding. Otherwise, it will become only sentiment. Whenever you find time, please read my books. Not only must
Okay,
GBC.
uh, just a second. I want to see whether how long it can continue. Just okay. Okay, Prabhu. Other devotee, I think somebody is completing. Okay. Not only must GBC members read Srila Prabhupada's books, they must see that others also do so. This is even more important than seeing to the practical matters of management. GBC member means they will see that in every temple these books are very thoroughly being read and discussed and understood and applied in practical life. That is wanted, not to see the vouchers only. How many books you have sold and how many books are in the stock. That is secondary. You may keep vouchers. If one is engaged in Krishna service, there is no need of vouchers. Everyone is doing the best. That's all. So we have to see that things are going on very nicely. In that way, the GBC members should divide the same zone, some zones, and see very nicely that things are going on. That they are chanting 16 rounds and temple management is doing according to their routine work, and the books are being thoroughly discussed, being read, understood practically. These things are required. Having fulfilled his childhood dream of worshipping Krishna in multiple centers with high standards, Srila Prabhupada stated, I have appointed this GBC to maintain the standards. As the child, as a child, when I was going to the neighboring Malik temple, I was thinking, when will I have such a nice deity to worship? And now Krishna is so kind that I am establishing so many nice temples all over the world. Now I want that there should be established 108 temples before my death. So you think how to make it, how to do it. Make some program, 10 devotees, all temples in Melbourne, London, Paris, Bombay, all are very nice. Everything is very bright and brilliant. The deity is the proof of the sincere service. Mhm. The deity is the proof of the sincere service. It is the duty of the GBC now to maintain this. The duty is how to enthuse them and maintain. He warned a GBC member. We must be very careful not to slide back into whimsically doing everything. Okay, we will stop here and we'll meet tomorrow at this time to be watchdogs. We'll continue from there. If anybody has anything to ask, we can ask. Otherwise, we'll stop here.
Hare Krishna Dandapanam. So goes to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is making this statement about what leaders are supposed to be like. And it's interesting. Is it possible for you to go back? I'm driving, so I didn't get to see it. Is it possible for you to go
Acharya
back to
like
that text?
GBC members should be like Acharya like, leaders should be like Acharya like.
They said that they shouldn't be talking, being conspiring in a sense, scheming, all that stuff. All of it is
Scheming,
around the same.
yeah, scheme is there. Scheme. There is some place where Prabhupada says that you should not scheme. Yeah. I have seen. Remember when?
I think it was right after the heading of GB leaders, temple leaders or something. I'm not sure. I wasn't
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
see.
I want all of you to work cooperatively and very frankly. That is our process. Not that we shall always plot and scheme and write letters.
Mm. There was something before this. Can you go back? Maybe 1 or 2 pages. Go 1 page back.
Yeah, this is what. Let them do something first, and then we shall see what is their criticism. Simply criticizing and no work, that is the business of inferior. So do not be disturbed by them. Go on with your work, increasing more and more. Never mind the jackals howl. This is one.
Okay,
Talk
one
about
more.
this one.
Okay.
We are Vaishnava devotees, not politicians. Srila Prabhupada dictated expressing his strident disapproval of the attempt by some members of the temple to remove the president. Something here. Yeah, politics.
Yes.
The Prabhupada, this is all about politics. Don't bring politics. Why is there this politics? That is not good. If politics come, then the preaching will be stopped. That is difficulty. As soon as politics come, everything will be spoiled. So many things are there. Everybody knows in ISKCON that should not do politics. Everybody knows it is not that it is they don't know, but still they do. What is that? It is the nature of the people they will do. What can be done?
No, I just need to
Why
see.
they?
Thank you.
Yeah, why they are doing, we can't answer because that's the nature of the people are like that. They will do it because they are material people. They chant. Some devotees, Maharaj said in one lecture that some devotees are thinking that why this fellow is keeping the hand in the beads, otherwise we would have done something for him. Just because he is a devotee, nobody is doing anything. Otherwise, outside means they kill them if they do so much politics and they disturb so much. They remove them or do something in such a way. But in Islam, it's not like that, so harsh. But it is some circles. It is also done. Leaders they become even those who are under the leaders. They are also sometimes behave in an eccentric way. So it's not that one side clap. The both sides is there. Okay. Anyhow, thank you very much for patiently hearing, and we will continue tomorrow from this place. So much we read. Yes, to be the watchdogs. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Vansha Kalpataruvyascha Kripa Sindhyavyavcha Paritanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Anant Koti Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. The mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.